Comedy is a very vague word and used in many different contexts. Seeing it from a film perspective, it is a genre which has been in the film industry for a very long time. It dates back to 1895, where it first began from television programs. It is divided into multiple sections, such as humor, the method of delivering, and the context in which it is delivered. Starting from the 1800s with the silent film era, where actors like Charlie Chaplin and Rowan Atkinson they have been entertaining the audience by the method of delivering and using comedy. Watering the Gardener by Lumiere Brothers was one of the first comedy films. Comedy is a concept in which people are shown humorous content, be it from the form of visual items or by simple language. The film industry has been involved with comedy for quite some time, and it is one of the genres which have been used in a lot of movies, and even the demand of comedy related movies are very high. Comedy has been combining with other genres as well, such as horror, action, and thriller. Johnny English, a movie starring Rowan Atkinson, in which he is a spy for the MI7 British intelligence. Johnny is a mediocre spy who is set out for a mission to stop Pascal Savage, who is set to steal the crown jewel of Britain. In this film, character comedy is used to derive humor from the character's style based on stereotypes. Pink Panther is a beloved comic and the first movie to be ever made on the comic, which is known as The Pink Panther. In this movie, starring David Niven, Peter Sellers, and Robert Wagner, the famous thief Sir Charles Linton, played by David Niven, is after the famous diamond called the Pink Panther. But not only him, many others are also after the diamond. Today, I will be showing how comedy was portrayed back then and how it is being portrayed now. These movies have a time gap of 40 years from the date of production. Both of these movies have portrayed different types of comedy, such as action comedy, slapstick, and character comedy. These subtopics of the genre make the movie diverse and interesting. Comparing these movies would be great, as both of these films follow the same genre, being comedy. Both movies are about 40 years apart, making them a good example on how comedy is shown. Being different geographically, we can see on how the directors make the film funny and humorous. My theory question is how same character trope uses different technique or styles to achieve different style of comedy. Johnny English is a spy comedy film which has been based in London, being a private spy for the British intelligence. In this film, the shots used and the sound which have been put are very interesting. It makes the movie feel so realistic, such as the action shots taken from unimaginable angles, makes it really interesting. The cinematography in this film is very crucial, as the shots taken need to express two different moods. For example, in the given shot, we can see Johnny has hit Pegasus with a secret pen, and then another official enters the room. If the shot was taken as over the shoulder shot, it would make the scene look very intense. Whereas the mid-range shot shown in the film makes it funny, as well as we can see Pegasus lying unconscious on the floor. The lighting used in the film is very subtle, but in some shots we can see the lighting being changed according to the mood. Sound being one of the most interesting and important part of a film. In this movie, it is been looked after very well. From sound of every trigger pull to sound of every punch makes it all realistic and intense. The sounds used in this film are the sounds used in this film are mostly diegetic sounds. In the movie Pink Panther, we can see how much of a difference the movie is because of the shots used, the type of sound and editing is shown. In the given shot, we can see it is a mid-range shot establishing that they are on a snowfield. As they fight each other, it is an action scene but with total comedy in it. We can see Sir Charles Lytton, played by David Niven, on the snowfield with his character being totally funny, as he intentionally misses the shots and the way he uses his character to make the film funny is very interesting. We can see the actors getting knocked out one by one, first by an actual punch and David Niven by a skier who cannot control himself. In the scene, if there would be cutscene, it wouldn't have made it funny. Having the sound and the shot being put in properly definitely makes it reach the point of humor required. Looking at these two examples, we can see how comedy has been portrayed differently throughout the time periods, both having a significant amount of economical impact. Being in the film Johnny English, we can see even though Johnny being not so smart and pretty dumb, he gets around things and is victorious in the mission. This sort of gives us a side message that just because you aren't good with critical thinking, you can still get things done. In the Pink Panther movie, Felix Stones, he also isn't as smart as we think he is, but the way he acts and his style also gives us a sense that he is dumb. Comparing both of the characters, Johnny and Fe- comparing both of the characters in the movie, we can see that both share the same type of character trope but portray it a different way. We can see Peter Sellers also playing Inspector Jacques Colosso. His way of delivering and performing his character is similar to Johnny English, but the way he moves, the acts he does, and the way he portrays his dialogues is totally different. This is how we can see the different types of character tropes used in the movie. These movies have really shown us the different ways in which comedy itself has been evolved. Technologically, we can see that in Johnny English, we have aerial shots, which is a huge leap in the film industry. In Pink Panther, we see normal shots, such as long shots, close up, and mostly medium range shots, whereas in Johnny English, we have various other shots. For example, we can see the given shot is through a scope of a gun. These shots are really hard to achieve, but then in the movie, we can see technologically how advanced we are. There's a lot of historical aspect to this film as well. In Pink Panther, we can see the location, the buildings, and the cars being vintage, the dress sense of the people being very old and stereotypical, such as people both wearing the same style of coats, all the police officers having similar dressing sense. In the parties, we can see them having fur coats and long coats. These few elements give us the sense of being back in the 1900s. In Johnny English, we can see the way people dress is more likely to be seen nowadays, such as tuxedos and others wearing dresses. By these given aspects, we can see how comedy is shown and was shown in the difference of the time period. In the film, though not being a conscious choice by the directors, we can still see the advancement of comedy portrayed now. We have a few techniques from the olden days, such as dressing sense, the character styles, if not similar, but close enough to give us a nostalgic feel. Though being different, we can see the character tropes in both of the protagonists being similar but very different in the way of delivering. We can see Johnny being more smooth and somewhat organized, whereas Peter Sellers being more abrupt and very spontaneous. His way of delivering gives us a sense of him being very clumsy, whereas for Johnny it is the total opposite. We can see him being more of a planned and get things done kind of feeling. In conclusion, both of these movies are greatly made and are very suitable for the comedy genre. The protagonists in these films are also very well chosen, as imagining someone else in their place would have been not as great as it is now. The Pink Panther earned approximately over $10 million with a running time of 113 minutes, and Johnny English earned over $160 million with a running time of 88 minutes. Personally, I would give Peter Sellers the advantage when it comes to the bumbling inspector role. Each time you see Rowan Atkinson in a movie, you always relate him directly back to Mr. Bean. Peter Sellers could jump into all sorts of roles and play them perfectly, as evidenced by the Pink Panther series.